All right. Good morning and welcome to another BowmanWebServices.com video. Today's video is going to be about what an SEO strategist can do. And so, just want to talk a little bit about how you go about taking over search results. Okay. And so, I get it. A lot of web services out there offering their stuff. And so at the end of the day, you have to think about, what they're doing for you. And so I'm all about building up web resources, whether it's Pinterest, YouTube, Facebook, or a website, right? And so let's just take an example here. And so you're looking for web services in Daytona Beach, Port Orange, Ponce Inlet, New Smyrna Beach. And so what I've done is I've created some pages, right? And so I've created really four pages. This home page that we're on, which I'll show you in a second, a page targeting Ponce Inlet, a page targeting New Smyrna Beach, and I'll probably do one for Ormond, right? And then I'm targeting home services, building home services based websites that do lead generation, right? Because they rank on Google because they are kind of king of the mountain. I'll explain that here in a second. King of the mountain really is the idea that you've produced so much content that you are obviously the guy that is the resource in your area. And it's all targeted content. And so I'm going to explain that. Targeted content would be something like Ponce Inlet website development, right? That's a targeted content, demographically targeted, right? Okay, so why? Okay, so these pages that we're just talking about and this home page is called four pages altogether. Were just redesigned, and actually the home page was redesigned. That's been up for some time. These other three pages are brand new. They have no stats. This site is linked to Google Analytics and Search Console, which is what we're going to talk about. Because without those things, you're completely blind, and you're not doing any kind of SEO or statistics, or and I don't care if your web company doesn't set that up and isn't looking at that weekly or monthly. They're really not any kind of strategist. Okay, so what do I mean? So let me just get rid of my face here. If I come over here, Search Console, okay, and this is just in the last week. So I'm going to show you data from 1 day periods, right? 16th and 17th, 17th and 18th, 18th and 19th, 19th and 20th, 21st, right? And today being the 22nd. Right? And so just built this content this past week. And so what I want to point out is at start, there was nothing, right? Nothing. And Search Console, what is Search Console? Search Console is actually Google Analytics, and it actually is Google's baby. And so it tells you some things. It tells you click through, which I don't really have selected because I think it's dumb, but we'll select it just for this example. All right, and so there's no click-through rate because the pages are that new, and ultimately we're trying to build presence on the web under a given search phrase. And so in my market, just building a 5-page website probably won't do it, right? I absolutely need, 20, 30, 40 pages of content, all of them kind of pushing probably 3 or 4 pages. And that's what I mean here. That's why I've gone and created those 3 or 4 pages, including the home page, so that I can specifically target certain markets within SEO and content marketing. Okay, hopefully it makes sense. Anyway, so you can see here at start, these are the keyword phrases that the site is ranking for on this given date, right? This is the impressions that the site got on Google in the search results. Search results being the first 10 pages of Google, and that's what this is here. So position really is if it's 20, okay, that's really far up in the that's actually page 3, search result 1, right? Page 3, search result 6, page 4, search result 6, right? And so I can actually click position and I can actually resort this, and you can see that this is poor. Nobody's really going to the 3rd page of Google for anything, right? And you can see that it's really not demographically driven, right? Not demographically driven. These are very generic keyword phrases, so there are much better search result choices on the first page of Google, obviously, why I am here on the 2nd or 3rd, right? However, after creating that content, just almost immediately within a day's time, you can see that it starts to change, start to get some kind of movement. And really, what I want to point out is just right out of the gate, I got something to show up on Google. Now, keep in mind this thing is linked to Google My Business and has a Facebook, a Pinterest, a YouTube, right? And this very video I'm creating is content that's highly related to what we're talking about. Yes, because it is what we're talking about, how to rank in your area. And so don't believe that somebody could just sell you a couple of links and they're going to rank you, because somebody that like me comes along and builds something like this, it can't be outdone very easily. In fact, the truth is it ends up becoming, kind of like king of the mountain. If somebody comes and actually creates content and tries to compete with the site that I build, then that's great. That's fantastic. I'll reach out to them. I'll try to get them to link to me, and I'll link to them, and me and the two of us will take over a market, right? However, just consider that it all has to be done keyword strategically. And so let me just go ahead and jump ahead. You can see that, over the next couple of days, it quickly starts to shift, right? And you can see that what's shifting is average position. And average position has to do with every keyword phrase that's here in this list, all the way up to 254 different variations. Your average position, amongst, the top 10 or 20 pages of Google. And so as I keep on going, really just look at this data here, right? This is for the 19th, just a couple of days ago. And really this one we would look at, but it's not complete yet, right? It's kind of still pulling data. And so even though it's much better, you can see that I've got that's a third search result on Google for Ponce inlet web design. And it just got one impression, but that happened just in the last 24 hours, right? New Smyrna Beach design, web design, New Smyrna Beach, Port Orange SEO, Ponce Inlet SEO. You can see that the whole gist of the what the website was ranking for, because it was not demographically targeted, and that's a very common problem. People just don't even put the demographic keywords on their front page of their website, because Google does not know what your website's about. And so just by adding all that content, and really just recently, you scroll to the bottom, I just changed all this footer around so that now I have all my demographic keywords and I'm linking to the pages that we're talking about, right? And so I got a whole bunch of little SEO things that I've done, and obviously the site isn't just a 5-page website. Again, there's certain things you have to do. You have to kind of like create some content in order to get some kind of snowball effect going, right? Where a snowball's rolling down the mountain and it's picking up pace. And so, yeah, it's just interesting, isn't it, how that all just kind of lines up. And so again, looking at how these are more demographically driven, right, as opposed to what it was just less than a week ago. A week ago really was not demographically driven except for that one, right? Oh, there is a Ponce Inlet SEO here, huh? So yeah, you kind of get the idea. And so without this, and so what can you really do with Search Console, right? And so if I were to like go and let's talk about this other site. So I actually have a website that has about 350 something pages, right? And so all these pages are on fun things to do. This is not local, all right, but it is local to Cancun, even it's not local to us, right? And so I have pages on Cancun, I have pages on Daytona Beach too, about 85 pages. But really, I think there's about 300 pages just for Mexico or Cancun, all right? And so when you look at stats on something like that, so to give you an idea, the stats that we're looking at here are just a couple of days old. It gives me very poor stats, but it just shows me that I have movement, and it shows me that I have some kind of grouping going on, right? And that's really what I'm looking for. And really, this is, of all these things that we have here, all these different variations, it's really only 3 to 5 pages that it's talking about, right? Even though there are more than that, there are quite a few pages on this website, right? There's 3 there, there's 4 there, and there's another 10. So there's roughly maybe 25 pages on this website, right? And so if we were to go over here and I were to come over here and actually look at, let's say, that website we just talked about, where I have much better data. And so really, to be fair, well, that's just in one day. So let's go ahead and let's do the last. Let's just look at what this thing pulls annually, right? Right, 736 impressions, 2,000 click-throughs. So that's just the last 12 months. But really, that's not really what I want to show you. What I want to hop in here is actually down to here. And really, to be fair, let's just do the last 7 days, right? So here we have a website that has quite a few pages, right? I mean, many, many, many pages, okay? And it ranks for all kinds of things. And really, come in here, make sure we're in the right place. It ranks for all kinds of things, like disappearing island here in Daytona Beach, cliff jumping in Cabo San Lucas, right? There's a whole bunch of things that it ranks for. All right, and you see again, it has to be kind of demographic. If it's not demographic, it's pretty much worthless, right? So there you have it. You can see this is position again on Google. Third search result, fourth search result. We can go up to like quite a few. This thing goes over 1,000 variations. So, and again, this is showing me data too, a lot more than just what I'm showing you here, right? There's a lot more data here. I can actually come in here and look and go by pages rather than by query. So query being the keyword phrase that the consumer put into Google to find you. And really, they're not finding, they did find you ultimately. That's your click-through rate, right? Which is this guy, right? Click it, your click-through rate. Now, your click-through rate has to do with the search query. So somebody types in a search query into Google, right? Like whatever it is. How about Cocoa Bongo coupon? I'm pretty sure I ranked for that. And so I type in Cocoa Bongo coupon. I'm the third result on Google. And you see this is the search query, right? Search query Cocoa Bongo coupon is producing at least 10 results along with some answers to questions. So you can also on the page, like I could go here to my page and I could open it up and I could start adding all these questions to eat down to my content, and I would start to probably show up in this blurb here, right? And that's, that can only happen when you're on the first page of Google. So there's all kinds of tricks you can do as a strategist. I can tell you, if you haven't hired a strategist, you're just hiring a web guy that's just selling you some kind of web service. And at the end of the day, they're not putting much time into it. And honestly, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm out to win. And if somebody wants to hang out with a winner, somebody who wants to win and actually wants to get up and wants to work and wants to win, come check out what I'm doing. Give me the opportunity to pitch you my services. And honestly, I'm going to produce results because I want to see you eat and eat well. And so right out of the gate, I'm going to very quickly, produce leads, right? And so I can tell you most websites are just not very well laid out when it comes to general content. And it's so vague when they do look at their content that you're not sure what it is they do. And ultimately, if it's not demographically driven, you've got to do so much more. Honestly, you have any idea what I had to do to rank, for, honestly, think about this, 300 something pages. And I am ranking for some things, but not for everything, right? I mean, there's a lot of things in travel and tourism. And so, yeah, it's a lot of work. And so at the end of the day, I can tell you that the flow of this is fantastic. Look, this is my potential. This is my impressions. That's how many times I've shown up in front of consumers where I had the opportunity to be one of the 10 or 15 chosen, right? And out of those 300, I got 2% of it. And I was at position, I was on the third page for that, right? On average. And so, really, that's amazing. Really, if I were to be, much better, you see that my click-through rate on something where I'm on the second page, third result, I'm 8%, right? So I wonder, I got a 20% click-through rate on this page, right? And so, yeah, again, looking at stats gives me the idea of what pages to actually enhance, right? And to go. So again, you build a page of content, it gets remodeled, it gets remodeled, it gets remodeled, it gets remodeled. And every time you do that, you get a different set of stats. And the idea is to get the stats to go up rather than down. All right, there you have it. All right, guys, I've rattled on long enough. And maybe we've lost a point on this video. But I hope it was educational, and I hope it shows you that without these kind of tools, and without somebody that's actually monitoring this, I get it. You can have somebody design your website. They could be all pretty. You can get somebody to do coding and all your other fun stuff. But at the end of the day, you need somebody that's kind of watching to see what results you're getting, right? And then to tweak the results. And so that's extremely valuable to anybody. I can tell you, I take just about any website, and I can very quickly show you why any given web page on that website is or is not ranking, and what can be done right now by opening it up and editing a dozen different sentences, right? And boom, you know, now your page is correctly targeting the correct market and your correct demographic. And so again, in a small demographic, something that you're targeting, something very specific, it's a lot easier. Honestly, I don't have much competition when it comes to Disappearing Island. Yes, there are all kinds of vendors down there running boat tours and all kinds of shit. And these guys, little old me bumped up and took the #1 spot. What? How'd I do that? I don't own a boat, a jet ski, a skidoo. I don't even have a kayak. I don't have a little floaty. I don't have any floaties. You know what I mean? But I do have the #1 position for Disappearing Island, right? So anyway, just give you an idea of what a strategist or a content marketer can do, given a little time and a little bit of incentive. Anyway, I'm just saying. Give me a call. I'd love to chat with you. I'd like to talk to you about how you take over a market. And if you're somebody that likes to do hard work and just likes to work, honestly, if I can get you taking pictures, get you taking videos of what you are the expert at doing, and just get you to do it a certain way by adding certain keywords like, hey, this video is all about web design in Daytona Beach, Florida. Quote, quote, underline. Hint, hint, Google, Google. All right, so there you have it. All right, guys. Thanks for stopping by and watching my silly video. Hope it helps you rank better on Google. And check out my services. I got services starting at, I don't know, a couple $100 a month, all the way up to, well, the sky's the limit, guys. I'll put the time into it, and I will build you your empire. All right, thanks for stopping by. BowmanWebServices.com.